This week on Celestial Ovation, we speak with the head of United States Diocese, Venerable Superior Evangelist Olorunnisola Joseph Olorunnisola.
Joseph Olorunnisola. I'm a Christian. My dad is a Christian, was a Christian, my mom was a Christian. Unfortunately, both of them are no more. I have a number of siblings. We're all Christians, and we are all members of Celestial Church of Christ. I had my early education in primary school at Bishop Oluwole Memorial, Nagege here, before having my secondary education at Lagos City College, Evang. During my engagement in the corporate world, time was given for me to travel to United Kingdom, Lagos, London School of Accountancy. Where I completed my examinations of the Institute of the Chartered Accountants. Also, the Institute of the Chartered Institute of Bankers and the Chartered Institute of Administrators and Secretaries, all in England. I'm a fellow of all these institutions now, and of course, a fellow of the Institute of the Chartered Institute of Taxation. I had my corporate life mainly with United Bank for Africa, where I worked for almost 30 years, rising through the rank as a junior officer in charge of cash and accounts, cash officer, accounts officer, the number of branches, then moving to become the accountant at the head office, subsequently as the manager of head office accounts and finance, before moving to becoming a branch manager at UBA Ilorin branch. Over the years, after living there, I moved in as the Assistant Chief Inspector in charge of computer audit. Before eventually retiring in 1996-97 at the bank's head of treasury. I had a number of training in USA, Institute of Finance, at the Wall Street, New York Stock Exchange, also in computer software in Brighton, UK. A number of courses in management strategic planning. Precisely, that's about me, through the grace of the Lord.
He revealed his early Christian life and how he became a Celestian 49 years ago.
But like I said before, my parents were all Christians of Episcopal denomination, Anglican Church. I was a member of the choir in St. David's Church, Lafayette, Lagos, for a while, before moving to St. Paul's Church at Ebute Metta. I left the Anglican Church with my wife. In fact, we had a marriage in St. Paul's Church, Brentford, Broad Street, Lagos, precisely 1972. And we are blessed with a number of disciples who are now all married, except one, happily married. So we now have a number of grandchildren. I joined Celestial Church in Makoko almost 50 years ago, precisely 49 years. Almost 50 years ago. And I was actually attracted by the miracle I saw when someone that was so close to me, at the verge of death, was taken to Makoko. We met Baba Janle Koko, who commissioned some prophets to go and pray. After that, about 7 elders. A hopeless situation, a situation that was considered hopeless medically. We've lost hope. This loving lady was revived and brought back to life. And I saw very, very clearly for the first time the effectiveness of the name of Jesus. Because I was a living witness to the entire process. And I saw that absolutely nothing was added before this lady that had been taken all over, from one hospital to the other, even bringing the people of the dark world to assist. They failed. And when she was brought to Celestial, an intervention of the name of Jesus, she was brought back to life. And today she's even a great prophetess within the church. We started in Makoko. After that, we moved to, my family moved to Ilupeju, we moved to Agege 1. Then from Agege 1, the Lord also commissioned me, and I brought some friends joined, and we established Ikeja 2. in 1997, 96 precisely, I moved to the United States of America. I was in USA, where I decided to actually call UBA that I wanted to retire voluntarily. So I retired in 1947, and I'm now receiving my full pension on a monthly basis from UBA. We established the Voice of Grace Parish in Trenton, New Jersey, on a very, very humble scale. But to the glory of God, the church, the parish is now actually expanding, and we have a number of members. We acquired the building we are using now, and we have another building that can take almost 1,000 people, parishioners, under construction. That is costing the parish about $3.something million. That's only about 14, 15 acres of land in New Jersey. And by His grace, by His mercy, we hope the Lord will actually bring to conclusion and into perfection what He started some few years ago, completing the building and granting us the grace to move there at His appointed time.
You also revealed to us the objective of the church and its future plan in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, like I said, we are putting on a sanctuary to the glory of God that will take almost 1,000 people. We're having parking slots of over 300. And we're also going to have a multi-purpose hall that will take almost about 1,000 people. We're trying to have a very commendable outdoor sanctuary called Mercyland. We're going to have a gym. We're going to have a vicarage. We're also going to have refuge house that can conveniently take a number of families. The architect of the parish is still on the drawing board. We intend to bring a number of activities that will allow members to be enriched spiritually, physically, and intellectually. Because there will also be a library there where people can go in, read and research. It's going to be a major complex.
Speaking on the partnership of the parish with Christian Bible University and Seminary, sending some of its pastoral students to the parish as part of prerequisites for the graduation. Venerable Superior Evangelist Olorunnisola revealed that this has been on for almost 10 years.
In fact, this last Sunday, that 17th of March, we still had about 20 pastoral candidates from Princeton Bible University and Seminary coming to Voice of Grace, sitting down with members of the congregation, and actually learning on this peculiar mode of worship that is more of a reflection of the mode of worship in heavens. They've been coming now for almost 10 years. And they have documents and documentary and research papers given to them in their library. So for them to graduate from that university in Princeton, I know it's an Ivy League Bible college. They are normally processed through Celestial Church of Christ, Voice of Grace Parish in Trenton, New Jersey. I've also been there before to talk precisely about Celestial Church of Christ, the peculiar nature of the worship. Like Stephen says in Acts of Apostles 7, I think verse 53, 57, we have been given the mode of worship, the ordinance of the angels. There's no other church under heavens that is given this image of the process in heaven. There can only be one celestial. It's not just one of the churches. It's the church of all the churches. It's the end time vessel. And whether we believe it or not, at the appointed time, at the fullness of the time appointed by God, there will be manifestation. And the entire world will come to acknowledge that indeed Celestial is the end time vessel. The stone that the builders have refused will eventually become the cornerstone of the house.
On the call to become a clergy, he pointed that he asked for God's grace for some years before doing his work on full-time basis.
Well, I actually got a calling exactly in 1987. And I had an angel coming down and anointing me and putting up the robe upon me and calling me into the ministration. I prayed over it and I said precisely I was not ready. Coming to the church to sit down in the church, to minister to people, no. I was in a corporate world. I was earning handsome emolument. The bank was taking care of my house, of my transportation, of drivers, of personal assistants, of secretaries. So to then abandon all those and sit down in the church, I said no. So I refused. But then I thank the Lord, I tried to remain effective in evangelism. I had a crew who are also effective disciples. And we're moving from one village to the other, from one hamlet to the other, from one city to the other, from one town to the other, all over. moving to Ota, moving to Ilorin, Igbokoda, Oduaye, Ekiti, Ofa, all over, preaching the good tidings. I mean, in areas where the power of the Lord was challenged. We're also there, we're all over. And given the grace, we're able to establish parishes in some of the places, distributing Bibles, and building churches for them. So, and when I got to 5 years later, the Lord said it was time. But like Jonah, I still passionately pleaded for grace. When I got to US and we started there, I was actually expending all my prime time on the church. But then I still decided to work with Chase Manhattan Bank until the Lord said, now you have to save souls for me. Precisely 10 years after the effective calling, before I then sat down to do nothing but only the work of the living Lord Jesus.
He also revealed to Celestial Ovation the moment he was tempted to give up on the church.
That actually happened at the initial stage of the mission. When we got married and we had to wait and wait and wait and prayed and prayed and prayed at Nakuku, and we continued to receive revelation and prophecy. The Lord has done it, the Lord has done it, the Lord had done it, and nothing was happening. Then we had pressure from parents. Try this, try that, try this, try that, but to no avail. At the end of the day, we spent about 3 months of the church before returning back to the church. And the Lord said, I was actually putting you on trial, and you left me to have a taste of the world. Now for doing that, I'm going to keep you waiting again for another 3 years. And we pleaded passionately. We fasted, we begged, and God remains a compassionate, gracious and loving Father. Within 2-3 months, he had a prayer. The interesting thing, a prophet said, you're asking for a child. I'm going to give you this number of children. Go and plant this number of fruits around your house, because that will be the number of children I'm giving you. At the time you say it was over, but I will tell you it was not over. Until I'm saying from heaven, it is over. And precisely that was the situation. God is ever faithful. God is so gracious. And with the situation, the book of Luke chapter 21 verse 19 says, in your waiting, you will possess your possession. Those who are actually serving God must understand that they be seasoned with fire. In fact, without passing you, processing you through Calvary and through the shadow of the cross, you cannot be endorsed as an authentic disciple of Christ. You can't be endorsed.
Speaking on the division in the church, he pointed that what the church is going through is spiritual, adding that Celestial will undoubtedly become one later.
And with the situation in the church, the various divisions, we only need to be faithful. what Celestial is going through is spiritual, not physical. The Roman Catholic Church went through the same process. They broke up. They were having 3 popes. Subsequently 2 popes. Before now, they have a pope. The Episcopal Church of England went through the same process. Division. The Baptist Church in America also had the same process. In fact, up till now, they still have the normal Baptist and the Southern Baptist. Celestial own is more serious because Satan is aware that this church has been commissioned, like a pastor founder said, commissioned with the responsibility of cleansing the world. It's the end time vessel. Heaven and earth shall pass. The word of the living God will never pass unfulfilled. And no matter what anybody does now to bring factions together, may not be too successful. The Lord has his own appointed time. And at that appointed time, the church, by fire, by storm, will become one. Anybody putting up any resistance will discover is no more there. The Lord, at his appointed time, will carry a process that will purge this church. We're talking of divisions into various factions. That is even still a bit reasonable. A number of people have actually invested into the world of darkness. A number of members, a number of clergies, they are already in a number of fraternities. And that is far more serious. They carry the vessel of the Lord, and yet they are in their supper with Satan. Anything added to the name of Jesus Christ in Celestial Church of Christ renders your Christianity null and void. The Lord Jesus is sufficient. At the appointed time, I want you to take my word. It's not my word, the word of the Lord, serious. The Lord will carry the total cleansing of this church. There will be a spiritual tsunami. The Lord will bring this church back into one. And those already sanctified, consecrated to be in that final vessel that will cleanse the world will not come into that vessel. People are struggling now to become this, to become that, to become this. At that appointed time is the ordained of the Lord that will be where the Lord has appointed them to be. The fullness of the time is already at the door. The Lord will come into this church. He will cleanse his church. And the church will not cleanse the world. Whether the world likes it or not, whether Satan likes it or not, it will come to pass. So the situation now is not for people to be struggling to be this or that, but to struggle to worship the Lord in truth and in spirit, to work for the salvation of souls. Celestial is unique. Celestial is of the Lord. All eyes will behold the glory of the Lord at the appointed time. It's beyond anybody. Whatever you are trying to strategize now, you are only wasting your time. You can never strategize for God. that God is prepared His government at the appointed time. We will see who and who. In fact, most of the people who are non-Celestians, who are casting aspersion on Celestial, a number of them will be brought into the church to minister in the church. And some of those who are high-ranking ministers now in Celestial, who have compromised their righteousness and compromised dining with Satan, you look around, you won't find them anymore. The Lord will purge His church at His appointed time. The situation is beyond anybody. And it is important for you to also understand that whosoever is sitting on the seat of Baba Oshofa in Makoko, in Ketu, and in Meko is the one authorized, approved by heavens. This is what has been revealed to me, and I do not have any doubt about it.
Speaking on the administration of the church, he revealed that a structure is being built in the US for a system that won't be built around an individual.
The vine carries the branches, and the root carries the stem. So Nigeria, Republic of Benin, that's the root. US Diocese is just a branch. The spiritual power of the Lord, the power of the Holy Spirit, and the working of my Lord Jesus Christ remain effectively a manifestation in Celestial. The big problem we seem to be having in Nigeria is a sort of jaundiced structure. And this is precisely what we are trying to make sure we address in the United States of America. We want to put up a system, we are trying to put up a system that is not actually built around any individual personality. If you build a system around a personality, when that personality leaves, the system collapses. And the entire situation runs into chaos. That is precisely what we're having now. If a solid system is in operation, every individual becomes of no consequence. If any individual drops dead or is removed, the system continues. The system is the regulating framework. And that is what we're precisely doing in America now. We classify the church, the diocese, into 7 regions. And we put each region under an effective supervisor. Each region is also now classified into state administration. Each state has a supervisor. So the states report to the region reports to the diocese. So if there's any crisis in any region or any state, before the ripple effect cuts across, it is subdued. So the system can effectively operate. And we have our own bylaw, a man of instruction, which we have been able to craft through about 4 national conventions. We had the first convention in Texas, Houston, Texas, some 8-9 years ago. In fact, about 10 years ago. Our convention is slightly different from the convention we see other denominations having. Our convention is more like the People's Congress or Parliament. About a year to the convention, we will have established a number of committees in each region, and they will have been given specific subjects to address. They will research into those subjects, like how do we run the finance, how do we run the budget, the budgetary system of the diocese, how do we have the legal framework effectively in operation, getting some legal personnel to address most of the legal issues in the church, the indiscipline in the church. If this happens, if this happens, if this happens, this will be the process. And good enough, in America, there is a division between the state and the church. If the church has a regulatory process, mechanism to control its members, there's any problem, you run into the church, and we are able to show to the church we have our own guiding mechanism. The church will ask you, the court will ask you to go and use that medium to settle your process, unless a crime is involved. So all these various ad hoc committees will have gone to the library to research how are these denominations running their organization, how are these corporate bodies running their organization. We then bring in the best, the very best. They then send all the papers to my office. I will vet. I will go to the library also. I will research. We'll cross the T. We'll dot the I. I'll make them a blueprint. At the convention, we'll present those papers to the convention. The collective wisdom of the people. And once it is passed there, approved there, it goes into the bylaw. And all the parishes involved are subscribers to that promulgation. And we've tested that bylaw in 5 cases in America. And it was upheld. We had the second one in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We had about almost 300 people in attendance. And we don't normally, we have not been holding it in any church environment. We go to the 5-star hotels and we pay whatever is required to make sure that those 3-4 days of the convention are held in an environment of discipline, of corporate discipline. We had the third one in Los Angeles, California. Also the 5-star hotel there. That one attracted about 360 78 people, and we expended about 73,000 at the hotel there to get that convention hosted there. The first one was held at Marriott Hotel in Princeton, New Jersey. We spent about $105,000 for a 3-day convention. And it attracted 477 attendees. We are having the 5th one, by the grace of God, this coming May 17 to 19, at an holiday resort, spread over acres of land, a lake around, a golf course around, a tennis court around, indoor outside swimming pool, gym, everything. And that one is attracting almost 1,000 attendees. Our master budget is showing a cost of almost 200,000. That one will come up this May. People already researched into about 5-6 critical areas, like church planting. People not just coming to say, because we have a conflict in this parish, we are breaking off. We are going to establish our own parish there. We are now putting a stop to that after this convention. A committee has been assigned. They are presenting their paper. Once it's approved, we have a monitoring regulatory mechanism to ensure that everything approved in that convention is implemented at every parish. We have the investment committee. Like now, we are trying to put up a building at Imeko for the convenience of members when they go to Imeko. But in addition to that, we are having a sort of convention center, a multi-purpose hall in one of the states in America, where on daily basis it will run in a corporate manner. It's not going to be operated by Celeste. We are going to create a board, an independent board. It's going to be a separate legal entity to run that outfit and generate funds. This is where the Catholic world, the Episcopal world, the Baptist world, this is where they generate their funds, not from tithes. They have investment all over. They have properties leased out, generating income. So whether you have members or don't have members, the clergies are taken care of. Precisely that's the step we are taking in America now. We're trying to make sure we have convention center with chapel inside, multi-purpose halls that people can rent on daily basis for their various activities. It's more sophisticated than an event center. No. That will generate fund, and with that fund, dividend will be sent to Celestial USA Diocese and will then be utilized in taking care of the emoluments of the clergies and church workers, and also the welfare ministry of the diocese. So we won't be waiting for people to now start donating. We have our old clergies retiring. They should be placed on pension. They should be taken care of. We have some clergies who are sick. The system should be able to provide for them. We are trying to put all this in place in US. So We have a paper on investment. We have a paper on conflict resolution. About 6 papers will be presented. In fact, the interrelationship between the shepherd, the parochial, the elders' council of the church, we are trying to give a clear definition, provide the lateral vertical relationship, so that there wouldn't be any conflict in roles and goals. All these papers will be presented at next convention, holding in Chicago, by the grace of God. And once those papers are approved by the Congress of the People, it will be processed into the bylaw and manual of instruction of the diocese. We have regulatory body mechanism called Corps of Compliance Officers, consisting of people who are intellectually sound and who are up there regarding the ordinance of the church. They move from parish to parish. We have also in the bylaw what they are supposed to check. If they are coming to parish A in a month's time, they will have sent paper to them. We are coming on so and so date. And these are the areas we are going to address. Before the commencement of service, they will have been there. They could be 7, they could be 9. They want to see how your church is sanctified before the commencement of service. They want to see how members are dressed. They want to see how the service actually proceeds. They want to see the mannerism in the altar. They want to see how the songs are structured. They want to see how the prayers are structured. They want to see that everything you are doing is in consonance with the ordinance of the church. Then after the service, they want to see your altar. Under your altar, they want to see everything. They want to see whether you are maintaining a life policy of minimum of 10 to 50,000 for the shepherd. They want to see the property insurance covering the church and the contents of the church. They want to see the fire extinguisher that is in operation. They want to see that it is functional. They want to see the emergency exit that are well illuminated. They want to see the marks on the wall of the emergency contacts. So after the church service, they want to sit down with the shepherd and members of the parochial committee to tell them their observations, what they have observed to be wrong in the entire procedure. And they want to take their time to listen to the defenses of the shepherd and the parochial committee. After that exercise, they want to tell them the areas that they need to address within the next 21 days to 30 days to 3 months. They go back to their various offices and a citation is sent to that parish highlighting where they need to focus the remedial action. And a copy of that citation will also be sent to me. I want to make sure those irregularities observed are addressed within the time frame provided. It is something alien to Celestial, but it's something that's already becoming a norm in USA Diocese. Because if you make laws and nobody's actually enforcing it, it's a waste of time. So always saying, this convention is very, very critical. You will see that in our programs, all the parishes that are participating are listed out. They are the subscribers. If there's any litigation, we can go to the court and tell the court we have our own internal procedure. And the court will say, okay, go and resolve it. Go and resolve it. So for now, that is about the situation. We're trying very much and very hard to make sure that within the next 3, 4, 5 years, we are able to establish a system that the Celestial Headquarters Nigeria will be able to appreciate and possibly also imbibe. The period of chaos in the church should be over. We have been commissioned to save souls, not to be fighting for ropes and ranks. We are not there yet, but by His grace, by His Spirit, we shall get there. We're setting up a council now to monitor what is going on in the social media. In other churches, you can't see any of the members coming to destroy the church. It is only in Celestial you see people actually looking for the deficiency, the ugly side of the church for publication. And other churches are picking this up to destroy the church and to invite members of the church to their own denominations. It is a no-no. Once that council is now approved, they will monitor what goes on the social media on a daily basis. If anybody crosses the red line, it will be taken to court. Every church has its own problem. You've heard of the Roman Catholic. After about 30, 40 years, they are just now bringing out some ugly doings in the church. We have all denominations have their own bad sides. It is not for us to expose ourselves. A sensible Celestial will take advantage of the internal correction process to address that situation, not going onto the social media. It doesn't make any sense at all. You are actually pulling down the church. You are destroying the church. And at every harvest or convocation or activity, if we see you spraying money or doing something that can only be found in the synagogue of Satan, you'll be cited. You can't say because you just want to be seen on the social media. You start dancing, gutter dance in the church. It's an area we are also addressing in the next convention. So every shepherd will be responsible, strongly responsible for any immorality or indecent activity placed on the social media by their parish. So far, so good. We are moving. We are not up there yet.
He also told Celestial Ovation What prompted the shepherds' retreat that witnessed the presence of shepherds and their wives?
We'll be having that retreat every year. We want the experience of the shepherd in California, the one from Arizona, the one from Houston, from Dallas, from New Jersey, from New York, from Carolina, from Georgia, from Florida. We want those experiences to be shared in a common forum so that we can put everything into a melting pot. Let me give you an example. Like when we are trying to christen a baby, some parishes we put salt, water, honey, sugar. Through the retreat, they will know that you only need the water, the salt, the honey. Full stop. Another problem is celestial. The prophet or prophetess, if the baby being named is a boy, the sitting position of the current prophet and the writer will be reversed if it's a baby girl. Again, the prophet or the prophetess carrying the baby will give the names. And that is the names given to the baby. But then it is customary to have names being given by the parents, the grandparents. And this situation had caused a number of conflicts, a number of baby naming ceremonies. When the officiating minister will say, in this church, only the names given by the prophet is authentic, and he will not mention the names of other people. We've seen some Americans saying, that is not my name, that's not the name of my baby, that's not the name we are giving. And the entire environment becoming chaotic. Any process in Christianity or celestial that is not anchored on faith is not of the Lord. So, always saying, these are the names given by the Spirit of the living God. You mentioned those names. These are the names given by the parents. You bless all those names also, and you administer the normal process. It's not left to the parents. You've given them the names given by the prophet of God, and you have blessed the names brought by the parents. The decision is theirs. The Lord is not imposing anything on any individual. In Deuteronomy chapter 30, from verse 10 to 15, it says, these are the laws, the statutes. Good and life are placed on the right. Evil and damnation on the left. The choice is yours. The Lord is not imposing anything. When you go into a sophisticated environment like America, you need to be very, very sensitive to the sensitivity of the people. Otherwise, instead of saving souls, you discover that you are the barrier to people coming to Christ. We are not supposed to project barrier and stumbling stones through a sort of stubborn and arrogant to some doctrines, if we know nothing is offended, if we accommodate what the others are asking for, particularly in this area of naming ceremony. I'm not talking about the fundamentals of celestial ordinance. That is a no compromise area. So, the retreat will bring experiences together, and then training for the shepherds. Because a number of them got there through on-the-job training. And when you're on-the-job training, your experience is myopic. It's actually restricted to the experience of the shepherd you are working with. But when you come into a broader environment, where the training of the church ordinance and tenets are actually administered officially, then you become more knowledgeable. And also it brings us together to know one another physically. We interact, interpersonal relationship. And it's been a very, very effective forum. During the last one, I think we had about 89 attendees. And then it also gave us the opportunity to let the shepherds know that your family is your fourth point of ministry. Your family. We allow them to understand that you need to take vacation. Every year, you need to take about 4 or 5 weeks vacation. Go to somewhere with your spouse and have quality time. It is compelling. It's mandatory. Every 6 months, you must take 2 to 3 weeks vacation. Go to somewhere and have a sort of unconscious renewal of your vow with your spouse. It brings life into the family. All works without play makes Jack a dull boy.
When asked how he combined his role as the head of U.S. Diocese and author of books, this was his response.
I don't see a writing books as an opportunity to actually keep in tune with intellectual demand. We want to appreciate that knowledge revolution originally was about 10 years. It dropped to some 5 years, now to about 2 years. If you are in the university 10 years ago, you graduated 10 years ago, and you are not reading, today you are no longer relevant at all. You will have become an obsolete tool. You'll just be discussing history. There's no way you want to be able to cope with the contemporary age. Even with the current age of technology, information, dynamism, you need to keep yourself effectively, aggressively in tune. Every day you need to read, you need to research. So I see book writing, reading, more or less as a compelling routine to make sure you can actually integrate yourself and relate with the contemporary age. Precisely, I've written just about 4. And we're trying to pass on through the pipeline now. When it is out, we'll see what happens. I tell you, it is very, very, very crucial. When I was in the corporate world, you'll be sent to Eastbourne, to Houston, to London. London. What's the name of this university? London University. The corporate body will spend money on you. You'll be sent to Switzerland. You want to actually understudy a number of the various branches in administration, every aspect of administration, just to be able to see that you remain an asset, not a liability. Because a number of people are liabilities, they are no assets. They are not actually giving. On the contrary, they are source of problems to the church. When you are busy, when you see what is going on in other civilized and organized environment, you'll be able to contribute meaningfully and to behave with integrity, whatever position you have been assigned. So I don't see it as another area. I just see it as part and parcel of the normal administration of the church. Reading, researching, and writing. The first, knowing Christ. The second one, understanding Celestial Church of Christ. The third one, doctrines about Celestial. Fourth, a sort of conversion, retranslating the hymn books from Yoruba to English. And then the whispers from his throne. And that's the last one. That's about almost 300 pages. And it covers right from the inception after the living of Christ to the current situation in the Christendom. The fortunate or unfortunate thing is that most of these books are bought and read more by non-celestial Christians. Because about 3 major book companies are marketing these books in America. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, about 3 of them, and people buying are from other Christian churches. From many Christian churches. Redeemed, Pentecostal, American churches. Celestians will lack the culture of reading. We don't read. We just believe we should just, the experience we've actually gotten about the routine in the church is what we continue to perpetuate. So we live on history. We find it difficult to actually operate among contemporary Christians. Somebody was saying the youth should take over. And I said, if the youth now take over the church, then that is a major catastrophe, because they will destroy the church. Because the elders have not actually impacted any positive thing to them. So what we are actually transferring to them now is rank, robe, how to tell the world that you have been in the church since 1960 something, when you were not even born then. So even among the youth now, it's a crazy drive for position, of authority, for authority. Even the youth now wants to bring down the elders. I mean, because you are a youth, doesn't make you superior, doesn't make... So before the youth can actually, I know, a success without a successor is a failure. But then, the present elders must understand and come into full knowledge of the demand of the gospel, and should be able to interpret this gospel in the light of the contemporary expectations before they can actually impact something positive. The youth should see and learn positivity, how to be humble, how to respect, how to appreciate that nothing comes to anybody unless that's been given by God. How to be an asset rather than a liability. How to wait to be recognized than recognizing yourself. The elders have a lot of jobs, and if we don't do it, we shall account to the Lord on the day of judgment. Because now, all we are giving to the youth is fighting, crisis, 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 crisis. We don't feel that at this level, when we say we are Christians, we are Celestians, we are heaven bound, we're living our lives in the light of eternity. We don't believe there's not actually important again in the world. We need to come together rather than waiting for God's intervention and talk things over. We believe if you are my enemy, you have to remain my enemy till we die. I mean, and you want to mount the pulpit and tell me you are a clergy? I think we should all go back to our various rooms and have a reflection. What legacy are we leaving? The factions before were only two. Because we are not leaving any good legacy, the factions we now have about 5 or 6 or 7. And you have more pastors who simply feel they can rule themselves and anoint people and make money. They are wolves in sheep clothing. And everybody will give account before the throne of God's judgment.
He also shared with Celestial Ovation some instances where the power of God triumphed over the dark forces.
We went to Ota. We set our stage. Then some people came to us and said there was no way we could do it. Because I think more or less it was a place of maybe their shrine or whatsoever. And we said we have come to preach peace, to preach progress, to preach joy, to preach Christ. And they said no. And we set our stage. We begged them and begged them and begged them. And they said we should spend only 30 minutes and wrap up. But when we put on the projector and we started showing hellfire, because it was a free cinema, everybody around came and the place was filled. And instantly, some people said, we asked you not to stay for more than this time. You people were so stubborn. You see what is going to happen to you. And within minutes, the entire sky changed. Became so cloudy. The sky became pregnant. There was real storm. there was to be an outburst of torrential rain, downpour. And I looked at heavens, and people were standing. And I said, if there was a drop of rain today, then we have not come here in the name of Christ. If we have come in the name of Christ, and if Christ is the owner of all, the possessor of all, no single drop will be experienced here. And it became a challenge between Pharaoh and Moses. And I tell you, we spent the musical people, the choristers, they started their revival songs. After that, they started evangelizing. We were there till about 11:50 before packing our luggages, our properties. When we left Ota, when we got to Okwama area, then there was an outburst of rain over there. The same situation happened at Igbokoda after Ore. You see thundering, lightning, heavy storm, but we completed our mission. At Oduaye, we were specifically asked not to operate there. And we said we will operate there. And we did. We did. You see people coming out, carrying all sorts of eggs. But the Lord surrounded us with sword of fire. We finished around 12 midnight in a thick jungle village. And we left. We had to wait over 7 times, sanctifying the way on our way back to Lagos. Ipokia. We stood right in front of the shrine. We were challenged, but God took total control. Even at Agidingbi here, before they constructed their new cathedral, we stood right in front of the shrine at Agidingbi, almost adjacent to Coca-Cola, to preach the gospel. There were challenges all over, but then there was always the manifestation of the right hand of God. It was always there for us. It was always a winner. It's always a winner. Forever Christ is the winner.
He also told Celestial Ovation what prompted the university to send students to the church for study.
Because we tried to convince them, and they have appreciated it was the only authentic Christian religion in Africa. Authentic. It's not somebody just sitting down to plan. It was, and they were when they came also, and they had the level of the preaching, the interpretation of the word of God, the sound doctrine coming out, things that they have never had before, they also accepted that the message could not be from man. And I still stand to be corrected. Because I tell no sincerity. I was sporadically or randomly an interpreter for Baba Oshofa, a late Pastor Fanda, the number of his sermons. I was so close to Papa. I would go to Papa. I would ask questions privately. I was close to my Baba. And the Lord in His mercy has revealed a number of things to me about Celestial. Even the dresses we are wearing. I'm not talking of the big robes, so I'm talking of the normal Celestial dress. The prophet dress, the elders dress. I've seen clearly that this is the way the Celestials of heaven are dressed. And the way we worship, with all our heads down, is the way worshiping is done in heaven. It's not only what Isaiah is saying in Isaiah 6 or what Revelation is saying, Revelation 5, I'm talking precisely of what the Lord has revealed to me personally to see. So, celestial mode of worship is a mirror image of the ordinance in heaven. We sat down with them, we explained to them, they examined a number of doctrines. The only one they feel is tough is women not coming in when they are having their flower, and people not wearing shoes. They feel in winter you kill yourself. If you walk without any shoe on, you kill yourself. They felt it's more of a product of ignorance than Christianity. But the wisdom of this world is foolishness before heaven. Says Paul the Apostle in 1 Corinthians chapter 1. What seems to be their own wisdom is foolishness. So we leave that as it is. But it is one of the requirements for their graduation as pastors from that university to come to Celestial Church of Christ Voice of Grace and understudy. They will come on Wednesdays, on Fridays, they will sit on the floor with us, and on Sunday they will also come and sit with us, see how the service. They will have been there at least 1 hour before the service, and they will patiently sit down, male and female pastors to be. They will see the process, they will listen to the sermon, they see the thanks offering. After that, we'll sit down together with them, you ask questions, we'll tell them before leaving to their various, and it's part of the papers they're going to write to graduate.
Viewed why its children still remain members of the fold, despite being in the liberal society like the US.
To raise a generation for Christ, you must evolve an addiction. An addiction. You have bad addictions and you have good addictions. When you indulge your life in addictions, nobody's holy, nobody's righteous. What you're saying to your children, they may possibly remember 5% or 10% when they grow. But what they see you doing, when they grow, will never depart from them. So you cannot afford to live two life standards. You can't verbalize on some principles and actualize contrary principles. They must see how you carry your Christ. Right from their kids, they know that their mother and myself, you cannot afford to get to the church late. No matter your situation, you must be in the church. Even when we're in the corporate world, we keep our sultana in our cars. Right from the office, we go straight to the church on Wednesdays, on Fridays. No matter the situation, if I look back in the church and any of my children was missing, that child knew that it would be a real problem for him or her that day. And again, we will take time to sit them down, discuss the Bible with them, discuss contemporary issues, give them opportunity to ask questions. Again, as they're growing, you don't make them your children, you make them your friends. So that you sit down together with them, you give them opportunity to ask questions, You listen to their own points. And you are able to actually monitor them. This is why this is happening. This is why this is happening. This is why this is happening. I tell you, one of my children wanted to get married. The lady he was trying to marry, the parents were redeemed. Both of them were in America. My son already proposed to her, gave her a ring. So it was time for the lady to bring him to introduce to the parents. So he brought him to the parents. They loved him so much. In fact, when I was actually doing the wedding of the senior sister, the mother of that girlfriend of my son donated, gave out materials during the wedding. And he went to be introduced to the parents. And after all asked and done, they then asked, what church do you belong to? He said, Celestial. He then said, that is the only but. We love you. We are approving your marriage. But the point is, you have to leave Celestial and join Redeem. They will do baptism for you in Redeem. They will do everything. They will cancel you. My son said, no, sir. No, ma. Said, okay, you leave Celestial. Your wife also will leave Redeem. Then you go to a neutral church. My son said, no, sir. No, ma. Okay, you continue to Celestial. Your wife will go. He said, no. Wherever the husband goes, is where the wife goes. He said, ma, there are only 3 things I cannot compromise my life. Number 1, Christ. Number 2, Celestial. Number 3, my parents. He said, those 3, sir, I cannot compromise them. And that was the end of their relationship. He said he would never compromise it. That was the end of that relationship. So all of them, and my first son is now running to almost 50. He's over 40. He's mid-50. He's on his way to 50. They are, by the grace of the Lord, by His mercy, they are well positioned in the corporate world, America. All of them, all their spouses, all their grandchildren, they are all in the church. To the glory of God. I think, in all sincerity, it is the special grace of the Lord. I believe it is the special grace of the Lord. It's not my doing or my wife's doing. It's the grace of the Lord. Because they all live in an environment where freedom is without compromise. If your child says he wants to do this, you cannot stop him or her. Again, I think also I have to thank the Lord because of the various enriched, enlarged programs and ministries we have in Voice of Grace, because they all can find fulfillment in the church. They can find fulfillment in the various ministries. And all the people there have been challenged to be catalysts. There's no room for fighting. You want to see what new thing you can bring into the system. How the system can be respected even by non-celestials. when they come from non-celestial denomination, they want to come back because of what they can see. You need to inject the system with attraction, not immoral attraction, but disciplined corporate attraction. To be able to save life, we have to get off from practices that are moribund, from histories. We have to be able to interpret the gospel like Paul.